Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to BMI KSA August webinar. My name is Faisal Al-Mansour, and I am a Director of Planning and Control at BMI KSA chapter. At BMI KSA, we contribute in developing project management profession throughout the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, spreading its culture and promoting distinguished practices by empowering project management practitioners and providing them with knowledge, resource, and tools required to excel in their profession. I encourage all of you to become member of BMI KSA chapter to benefit from such project management knowledge and resources. In today's technical webinar, we will talk about organizational agility. I am so happy about today's topic because agility is a continual hot topic for project managers, and especially the common agile value and practices that define what an agile organization would look like. So I think it's gonna be a great topic today, and we have a great speaker, Engineer Bayhas Al-Sawadi, CEO of Cross Management Consultants, BMI RIB in Bahrain. Bayhas holds a bachelor degree in engineering from Damascus University since 2001 and has more than 19 years of experience as a professional strategist and portfolio manager, managing complex projects for big customers such as Saudi Arabian Airlines and Royal Commission for Jubail and Yumba. Bayhas holds BMB certificate since 2006. Also, he is holding BFMB, RMB, and ACB credential from BMI. So I am going to turn things over to Bayhas and let him tell us more about organizational agility. Thank you so much for being here with us, Bayhas.
Thank you, Faisal. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar, for taking time to come and join me in this quick webinar. I'm not gonna take a lot of your time, of course. I know it's Thursday and everyone is eager to go and enjoy their weekend. So it's gonna be short and to the point. And as Faisal mentioned, it's really a hot topic now, especially after the pandemic and COVID-19. Everyone has suffered in a way or another. You know, the after effects of the COVID, and organizations have been like looking for solutions everywhere. And here, why it is now very important for organizations to look to raise their agility level, because if you're not agile, competitors will be, and definitely you're going to be faced with fierce competition, and you might lose you know, a good deal of your business or your market share or your stability as a business. So I'm going to take you in this short trip. I'm going to introduce to you, first of all, what's agile, what is the agile mindset, what does it mean to be an agilist or an agile. So we're going to discuss first the common practice of agile, and then we're going to move to the next topic, which is how to assess my organization agility and how to increase my organization agility. What are the factors that contribute the organization availability, and how can I start a transformation journey? So this is now the core of this subject. And last but not least, I'm going to give like guidelines, a couple of guidelines to the leadership, of course, of the organizations, if they're of course pursuing this transformation journey, and I hope that it's going to be useful for them as well. So let us start. Again, my name is Bayhas Al-Sawadi. I think Faisal has made a very impressive introduction, so I don't need to repeat what Faisal said. So I'm just going to wish you a very pleasant day and weekend, and let's start. These are the three main points that I have mentioned to you. We're going to start by explaining principles and mindset, and then a framework. There are actually multiple frameworks out there to, you know, to assess your organizational agility, but I chose one that I found very interesting and very to the point, and we're going to discuss it today. And the third point that we're going to discuss, again, as I mentioned, is a couple of guidelines that you might want to take into consideration when you start your transformation journey. So to start with agile principles and mindset, I think probably many of you know that Agile as a word has started to be in use since 2001, when people coming from the software industry, they came together. They were like having fun in one of the spas, and they were discussing like their troubles that they're having at their software development projects. And they came from different approaches like the Scrum, the DSDM, the Crystal, and stuff like that. And they tried to, or they basically wanted to come up with a base, a solid base for a lightweight approach or a lightweight framework to manage their projects. And that's how the Agile Manifesto was born, actually. And I think probably a lot of you have heard about the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto is very concise document that states what we focus on or what we give a priority to versus other things. So it's only 4 things. We give priority to individuals and the interaction that happens between individuals over processes and tools. Processes and tools are great, but they might prevent you from being agile. If you need to follow the same policies, the same procedures, the same processes every time, and if you don't allow your people to try different approaches, try different processes and policies, and try to invent or think out of the box, then you might be limiting your potential. So the first point is that we actually empower individuals, and we trust individuals to do the job. So we basically give them priority over tools and processes. We also give priority to working software or working product over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is important, of course, but again, the priority is that we need to deliver something that is working, that meets the customer expectations. And that's why we focus on more of delivering value. So of course, documentation has some value, but the value, the most important value lies in a working product or in a working software. The third point is that we focus on customer collaboration versus contract negotiation. Now, we understand that contracts are very important when dealing with customers, but we also want this project and any other project to be a success. And to be a success, we need to listen carefully to the customer and to probably manage those expectations and to be able to respond to their ever-changing requirements, especially in, with the advancement of technology. And the fourth point is that we also focus on responding to changes over following a plan, because we anticipated changes. We think that changes are a must. With all that advancement out there, we expect the customer. It's natural that we expect the customer to change their requirements, to change their expectations, and we want to welcome that actually, because we think that will add to the success of the project. So these are the main pillars of the Agile. But since they are very concise, there have been like a lot of explanations out there, a lot of literature about the Agile and how we should manage our projects as Agile or Agilists, Agile project managers. So what I did is I took the common practices from all approaches, different approaches. There are lots of Agile approaches out there: Scrum, Kanban, XP, Crystal, feature-driven delivery, and so on, DSDM, and so on. So basically, I took all the common practices and I wanted to summarize them here. So to think as an Agilist or to have the Agile mindset, you basically focus on those things if you want to be Agile. We focus on how to lead as Agilists. So what's the Agile leadership? How does it look like? I'm going to explain all those points later on. Adaptive planning, what does it mean to adapt while planning, and plan and replan and update your plan and so on. Value-driven delivery, we focus again on the value, and we want to deliver the maximum value right from the start of the project. I'm going to explain a lot of that. more of that later. Stakeholder engagement, all agile approaches focus on engaging the stakeholders and listening to them, the feedback loops. Empirical processes, we want to allow our team to think out of the box, to come up with new processes, with the new thoughts, with new ideas that might advance the delivery and the potential of the team. Agile approaches also recommend all the time using low-tech, high-touch tools. So we try to use the very simple tools like a whiteboard, like, you know, the very simple things, sticky notes, in order to explain our thoughts, in order to communicate our expectations, our requirements, and so on. So we try to avoid like highly sophisticated technical tools because not everyone is able to use them or to understand them. And lean. To be agile, you need also to be lean. And lean is about actually cutting costs. So let's go quickly on those points. So we'll start with the agile leadership, as I mentioned. So to be an agile leader, or the common practice of agile leadership, focuses on playing a role of a servant leader. So the role of the leader, of the team leader, of basically any leader working in an agile organization, is to serve the team, basically by providing them with the resources that they need, by providing them with the tools, by providing them with a safe environment where they can test new ways of doing work, where they can test new processes. We empower, the leadership here empower the team. They trust the team to do the job. They allow the leadership to emerge. They allow the new leaders to be created out of the team and to lead new initiatives. So this is how does it look like to be an agile leader. You need, you know, to trust your team, to serve your team in terms of providing them with the required resources that they want, to prevent any, you know, any kind of interventions that are not desired from other external stakeholders that might try to interact directly with the team. So we try to isolate the team, let them innovate, let them organize themselves, let them direct themselves, let them do the job, ask them to do the job. So this is how agile leadership works. Adaptive planning is another common practice of the agile mindset. So basically, we anticipated changes, as I mentioned. We anticipate changes down the road. We anticipate changes in any time of the project. So that's why we usually tend to manage the projects by doing iterations, or by iterations, where every iteration takes a fixed amount of time, and we start every iteration by a planning. So the objective here is to, again, to listen to the customer or the product owner or the business representative, and to listen to their requirements, expectations, and to reprioritize according to their wish, and to plan what to do in order to meet these expectations over the next iteration. So we have increments in every iteration. So we start by planning for replanning. We know that there are going to be a lot of replanning down the road. Now, some people think that being agile means that you're not going to plan anything. You just wait for the circumstances and you follow. And that's completely incorrect. Being agile means that it requires from you a lot of planning, because you need to plan to replan. So every new iteration means a new plan for the iteration. And again, you use the feedback loops in order to update and replan your requirements and your objectives through the iterations and so on. So actually, to work in an agile environment, that requires a lot of planning, not less than the waterfall or the traditional project management. So it's very important to follow that kind of adaptive planning while you're working on managing projects. The other thing is the value-driven delivery. Again, we focus in Agile project management, we focus on delivering the maximum value early and continuously throughout the project. Basically, this will help the customer or the business representative or the product owner, will help them be more engaged because they see that the value is delivered to them as soon as possible. And the maximum value is we're getting the maximum value as soon as possible. And there is a continuous delivery of value. So there's a quick ROI, return on investment for their investment. They see that there are results coming, the value is being created and is created continuously and is created by priority. And that makes them, again, pretty much interested and engaged in the project. Of course, one of the principles as well in Agile project management is that failing fast is failing safe. So if the project or the product is not feasible, if we're not like, it's going to be out of our capability to deliver that product, then we also start by facing those risks as soon as possible, because we want to prevent the customer of investing a lot in something that is not feasible, something that will not deliver value to them. So for us, it's more safe, it's safer to fail fast because it's gonna be a failing safe, and that's one also of the common practice in Agile. Agile practices as well focus on stakeholder engagement. Again, the continuous feedback loops, and we have different feedback loops here. We listen actually to all the stakeholders in the project. We listen carefully to the team and their feedback. The team themselves, they listen to themselves and they try all the time to optimize their performance. And that's why we have retrospectives, for instance, in the iteration and at the end of each iteration throughout the project. And of course, we listen to the end users, we listen to the customers, and we try to, again, to use this feedback to enhance our performance, to enhance our delivery and the value delivery of the project. The team themselves, they have like a collective ownership of their decisions, because again, we empower them to take the proper decisions. We empower them to self-direct and to self-organize. So they feel that they own their decisions. We have that kind of collective ownership of the decisions and of the work that is being done, and that of course increases the morale, increases the engagement of the team. And the other thing is that all Agile approaches prefer face-to-face interaction over other kinds of communication, because when you're interacting face-to-face, you have like the maximum bandwidth of communication. You can not only listen to words, but you can also have an eye contact, and you can monitor the body language of the people. And so you make sure that you get the message correctly throughout the communication. And that's, again, we need to, again, maximize the communication that we're getting from different stakeholders, because based on this communication, we're gonna, again, replan on how to enhance our performance, how to enhance our value delivery, and so on. Again, Agile approaches allow for and encourage empirical processes. It's good to follow defined processes, but again, if you like, maintain your defined processes, you're not going to get anywhere. The performance will stay as is. It's not going to improve. So what we basically do is we create that safe environment for the team, and we allow them and encourage them actually to try new processes, to try new ways. The objective is, as usual in Agile approaches, is to achieve things with the minimum effort. This is what we call simplicity in Agile. Simplicity in Agile is maximizing the work not to be done. So how to work with the minimum efforts. This is simplicity, and we try all the time to leverage that, to help to guide and encourage the team to discover new ways of doing things with very simple ways, of very simple tools. And that's why it's very important to encourage empirical or new processes. So instead of following just defined known step things or processes or ways, we're gonna encourage them to use empirical processes that will again help them innovate, will help them come up with solutions for complex problems, and so on. So you see here in the presentation, while the waterfall and traditional project management approaches use the defined processes, we encourage empirical processes in agile and lean startups. Some of the other common practices of agile is using the low-tech, high-touch tools. So basically, we try again to use simple tools, to use tools that anyone can understand, that anyone can use to communicate. For instance, we tend to use information radiators, which are like high visibility charts that we post in the middle of the room, so everyone can look at them, and it's very easy to understand them, it's very easy to read them, and anyone can contribute to them because it doesn't need like sophisticated software or something. You just can post a sticky note there, or just try it with a marker or something. And the Kanban as well, it's one of the tools, of course, that you can use in agile approaches. I think also you might have had look at the Kanban. It's a very simple board where you have list of tasks or requirements that you want to do. So you have your to-do list prioritized, and then whenever you start doing something, you move that sticky note to the in progress, and when it's done, you move it to done. Of course, this is the simplest representation of a Kanban board, but Kanban boards can be also like multiple, columns representing multiple phases of the project, and so on. But again, we encourage again the team and other stakeholders to use very simple tools, very high touch, high visibility tools with low tech, so everyone can benefit from them and everyone can read them and communicate through them. You might for sure have questions on what I'm explaining, but let's keep the questions to the end of this short lecture. So you don't have to wait long time for answering your questions. The last common approach is lean agile approach. Which is basically to minimize waste. So lean in agile management is or tries to identify the source of waste, which are the common 7 sources of waste, and try to minimize that waste. So by first of all identifying what's the value is, and then making the steps flow without, you can use a Kanban for that, to make sure that the steps of the process flow without any constraints, without any bottlenecks, and you take the work as a pull system. So you try to pull the tasks or requirements rather than pushing them, because pushing them will create bottlenecks for you, while pulling them will create that kind of a flow, streamlined flow of the tasks that are being done, and that makes the speed of the flow, or the throughput, what we call the throughput, make it much faster. And we go again with this kind of continuous improvement steps in order to eliminate any bottlenecks and to eliminate waste in the whole process, making the flow of the value very, very streamlined. So these are basically the common practices, the common approaches, the common values of the agile that you will find in any agile approach. If you want to be an agilist or an agile leader, then those are the things that you need to keep in your mind regarding your leadership style, regarding your team and team empowerment, and your role as a servant leader to them, regarding the adaptive planning and planning to replanning, regarding the lean and eliminating waste, regarding using of high touch, low tech tools, So those are the common things that you need to keep in mind to be an agilist. Now, let's move on to the next point, which is, okay, now after we have got to know what is agile mindset, what is an organizational agility, or how do you define or how do you indicate whether an organization is agile or is not agile? Well, KPMG, of course, I'm sorry, not KPMG, McKinsey have a definition for organizational agility. Organizational agility, as per McKinsey, is the ability of an organization to renew itself, adapt, change quickly, and succeed in a rapidly changing, ambiguous, turbulent environment. So basically, being agile is about being able to change your direction very quickly. And that's different from being flexible, because you might be flexible, meaning you can respond in a flexible way to events, but that does not necessarily mean that you can change your direction in a quick way. So that's why agility is not flexibility. Agility is about, again, changing direction with minimum effort without losing things down the road. So you have the agility, you can jump from one market to another market, from one product to another product, from one structure to another structure, from one process to another process. But if you're not agile, then you find problems doing that. Okay. Agile require, of course, stability. Being agile does not mean that you're not stable. It's the other way around, actually. If you want to be agile, you need to have that kind of very strong stability. Think of a BMW, the car, or a Mercedes. If they are not very much stable, they cannot have that kind of agility in maneuvering, right? So they're very stable, and that goes here again. It's the same here. You need to be a very stable organization in order to be agile. If you're not stable, you cannot do that kind of quick maneuvering without losing something. So agile comes with stability as well, okay? Agile also requires flexibility to be exact. It's not the same meaning of flexibility, but it requires flexibility. If you want to be agile, you need as well to be flexible. You need, again, to be able to respond to events, to changes, and to absorb them and to adapt based on them. But agility is more than that. So yeah, the summary is here. Basically, fundamentally, being agile is about how quickly you can respond to something in the right way. This is the summary of it. Okay. Now, this is a framework that Gary Chen, which is one of the agile gurus out there, he suggested this framework that we can use to assess our agility level, organizational agility level. You can use it to assess, of course, your organizational agility level, and you can use it as well to improve your organizational agility level. So here are the main components that Gary discussed. So the leadership, how do you assess your leadership in terms of agility? The decision-making in the organization, how do we take decisions in the organization? So again, if taking decisions in the organization takes months, for instance, that means that you're not agile. Taking decisions should be as efficient and as effective as possible. It should be quick, it should be effective. So the decision-making is another component to be considered. The organizational structure, of course, when you have very rigid and very complex organizational structure and a structure that is focused on functional roles, then again, we expect your agility level to be low, because it's hard to be agile in functional, rigid organizational structure. The capabilities, of course, of your team is also a factor that should be assessed in your agility level. The team's themselves, how they interact? Do you empower them? Do you trust them? Do you give them the safe environment? And the processes, systems, and tools. Are your processes and systems and tools efficient? Are they are they flexible? Do they allow for innovation? Do they allow for trying new things, trying empirical processes, and stuff like that? So let's go and discuss each of these components. So again, and as mentioned in the Agile Manifesto, we prioritize, or we value the people and the interaction between people over the tools and processes, because at the end of the day, it's the people who does the job. It's not the tools and processes. So basically, the more processes, defined processes and systems and rigid tools that you have in your organization, the less agile your organization will be. So you need, again, to try to give your team the empowerment to, to adapt the processes, to try to come up with new, better processes, with new, better ways. You need to have that kind of flexibility in going around the processes whenever necessary. Okay, so your main investment basically should be on the team rather than the processes and tools. You cannot proceduralize agility. It's, it's like kind of completely different things, the procedure and being agile. If you're following a procedure, then you're not agile. If you're following a rigid procedure, you cannot do that. You cannot proceduralize agility, okay? Decision-making, as I mentioned too, when the management interferes with decision-making at all levels in the organization, that will make the organization less agile. So basically, practicing micromanagement will make the organization less agile, and will basically lead to frustration among the team, because the management takes role in making any decision in any level. And of course, that will not help anyone. So basically, we want, again, to empower the team at the different levels. We want them to have the authority to take decisions at the proper level. And by doing this, the organization will become more agile. The team, or the teams working in the organization as well, again, should be empowered. So they're self-organizing. We try to empower them to self-organize. They believe that they can solve any problem when we empower them. They're committed to success. They participate in constructive disagreement, and that's very important, because again, you allow them, you give them that safe environment where you can disagree with your boss, where you can disagree with your CEO, and you can say it openly without being, shamed or blamed. So basically, this is very important again, and this allows for thinking out of the box, allows for trying different approaches, allows for being more agile. Consensus driven. They are motivated by trust, not by, by observation. And they have this collective ownership of their decisions. So again, use this to assess your organization agility. Do you have teams that are self-empowered, self-organized? Do your team participate in constructive disagreement? Are they motivated by trust, or are they motivated by other things like money or penalties, for instance? Are they committed to success or not? Again, each component of this framework can be used to assess that very component in your organization. The capabilities. Do your team have the right capabilities to do the current work? Are you doing your best to help them harnessing those skills? Are you hiring the right people? Are you hiring the right skills? Are you being proactive rather than reactive in capability development? A lot of managers and leadership in the organizations, they wait until we need those skills, and then they send their employees to be trained. And that's being reactive. That's not agile. You need to be proactive. You need to anticipate what are the skills that my organization will need, so I can start immediately providing my staff with those skills. You cannot wait until those skills are required and then you're stuck. You cannot change direction, or you cannot go to the next level of performance with the skills that you have. So you need to be proactive about that. Are your teams and individuals rewarded and motivated to kind of collaborate on the big picture? One of the things that Agile promotes is using generalist, expert generalists rather than, subject matter experts, because when you use someone with multiple skill sets, you can use them in different roles. And that allows as well for more agility, because you can use them again to do multiple tasks, to do multiple, or to be responsible for multiple things. And that allows for redundancy, that allows for more flexibility. So basically we try to motivate them and reward them on that, and to have them participate in building the big picture, not to be only responsible for one tiny thing. I've been discussing this with someone yesterday, and he told me he's working for a very big company in Saudi Arabia. And he's telling me, I've been working there for 5 years. And to be honest with you, I haven't gained any new skill for 4 years, because what I'm responsible for is a very tiny task and I can do it very well. And I'm doing it now I'm being automated. I do it it's very now easy for me, but I don't understand the big picture. How does that contribute to the big picture? How does that contribute to my company success? And that's really very bad, because you need to make sure that everyone in your team, every individual in your staff understands well how their work contributes to the success of your organization. So, and availability is not a skill. If you say that I have all the staff that I need, I have all the roles filled in with positions, with proper positions, that's not enough, because availability is not skill. You need the skilled staff. You need someone who has the right skills to do the job that will contribute to the success of the big picture, again, of the organization. The organizational structure. Now, most of our structures here in the Middle East are, as you know, functional structures, where we focus on functions, departments with set functions like human resources, IT, production, sales, marketing, and so on. And few of them use the matrix type, when you have the functional managers and you have projects going on. So basically we assign a project manager or a project coordinator, and we take a team from different departments, and the team is tasked to do or to accomplish the project. Being functional, or the more functional that the organization is, the more rigid it will be, the less agile it will be, because you're going to be focusing on only doing functions, set functions, rather than, again, inventing, innovation, coming up with new products, driving a change. Remember that driving a change, creating new products, innovating all the time uses or needs project. It's the projects that drive the change, not the functional work. Functional work are very good to sustain the status quo that you have, but they will not take you anywhere to the next level, okay? You need to initiate changes and to drive changes, and to do that, you need projects. So the more that you shift to a more strong matrix or projectized organizational structure, the more agile you will be, the more agile the organization will be. So shifting the primary focus of functional managers from tactical project decision-making to capability development. What we actually ask the functional managers is, again, to invest more in the capability development of their teams, because those are the teams that will be, again, tasked in one project or another to achieve new goals or to initiate a change or to create new products or to innovate. So basically what we want from the functional managers is again to invest more in capability development, and this will extend agility. The leadership, again, you need to practice the agile leadership, the right type of leadership, the servant leadership. You need to ask employees how they can contribute to the success of your organizations. You don't need them just to again to do the same thing all over again for years and years to come. No, you need to help them go and think out of the box, to innovate, to try new things and different things, and to think all the time about the big picture again, about the success of the organization as a whole, not only their tiny roles or their departments or even the projects that they are working in. All of that should be aligned to the organizational objectives. So basically, that was the framework. Again, just to wrap up, I'm gonna go back to the framework. So again, if you want to assess your organization agility level, or if you want to plan for a transformation journey, then these are the components that you might want to plan for or take into consideration while planning your transformation journey. You start by the leadership, of course. How about your processes and systems and tools? How about the decision making in your organization? Is it agile or is it rigid and bureaucratic? What about the organizational structure? What about the capabilities? How do I manage the teams? Are they empowered? And so on. So you take all of that, all of those components, and you assess them first, because you need first to understand where you stand. You need to understand your status quo, and then you set your objectives and plan for your transformation journey. So while you do that, I'm going to take you to the last chapter of this webinar, is guidelines. So what are the things that actually you need to take into consideration while you plan for your transformation journey? First of all, it's a transformation actually program that will that should be a program. It's not like one project, it's multiple projects focusing on the multiple components that we have just discussed. So you might plan a project for organizational structure transformation. You might plan another project for the capability. You might plan for another project for leadership in your organization. So it's gonna be like a transformation program, and this program should start by creating a culture of change. You should prepare, first of all, for that cultural transformation that you will create. So everyone should be aware, and everyone should perceive the benefits of transforming into a more agile organization. And you should create that buy-in. That is very important. You don't actually want to be faced with change resistance and high change resistance levels and create a negative disruption in your organization. So you should start by creating that culture for change. You should set the stage very carefully by communicating the right messages to the stakeholders, communicating the benefits of agile and the benefits of the organizational agility. You should also be adaptive in your planning for that transformation program. So again, you try to do it in iterations, and you try to define what are your priorities, what are the value. It should be value driven again. So what component should you start with, and why do you think the value is here is the maximum, and we should start by creating that value, not the other value, and how do we proceed, and what is the increment that we want to create in every iteration. So you need to handle this transformation program in a very agile way. It's kind of like, again, it takes you back to managing agile projects. Agile leadership all the time throughout the transformation program. Again, the servant leader, the empowerment of the team, the trusting of the team. You again don't lose sight on the big picture. You optimize the whole. You make sure that you are optimizing all the components, not focusing only on one component while ignoring other components, because this will not work with you. And the system needs to be, all the system components needs to be enhanced at the same time in order to improve and enhance the whole system. And you need to make sure to listen to the feedback that you're getting from your team and from your stakeholders in order, again, to adapt, to improve, to focus more. And that's what allows for continuous improvement throughout your transformation journey. And by this, I conclude my 45 minutes. It was like exact. I haven't planned for that to be concluded in 45 minutes exactly. I hope that you found this webinar engaging and useful. So can I read the questions now? I think we have questions. Okay. The first question from Mr. Muhammad Hamad: how can we apply agile project management to small, medium projects without organization changes? Well, we were just discussing that before the start of the lecture. I think Faisal was asking me, what about organizational agility in small organizations? Now, by default, small organizations are agile because, like startups, for instance, or small to medium businesses, small businesses, they have the agility built in, because since you're small, you don't have the luxury of hiring a lot of people and assigning only specific tasks to specific people. No, you need to maximize your exploit of your resources. So you ask people to play multiple roles, and you have that kind of effectiveness in decision making. You can take decisions very quickly. But if you're going to start using agile in small organizations, try starting with the basic simple tools that will increase the value. So for instance, if you start by using Kanban, the Kanban board, you can use a tool like Trello. Trello is a Kanban board. It's a very simple tool that you can introduce to your team. And when they start using it, you don't have even to mention that's an agile tool or an agile approach and the Kanban. No, just let them use it and get used to use it, and then start introducing to them, why do we use this tool? How can we maximize results by using this tool? How do we prioritize our tasks by using this tool, and so on. And by doing that, you can introduce your team to the agile approach step by step. Although I think it's very simple. It's very easy for you when you're working in a small organization to introduce the agile concepts. While on the other side, if you're working in a big organization, complex organization, that's very difficult to introduce the agile concepts. I hope that answered your question. Nawaf, the second question is from Nawaf. Let me just maximize this. Okay. In your opinion, is it soon that the agile methodology will be enhanced, practiced in infrastructure construction projects? Currently, it fits the information type projects. Okay. Now, first of all, we discussed today is, again, organizational agility rather than project or agile project management. We use the agile mindset only to introduce, the basic concepts. But what we discussed is the organizational. So basically, whether you're working in construction or infrastructure or any other kind of industry, you need your organization to be agile, to take decisions very quickly and effectively, to have the agile leadership, to empower their team, to have the right capabilities, to have the right organizational structure. But if you're asking specifically about using agile project management, then I agree with you. It might be a little bit difficult now because we still haven't kind of agile approaches that are tailored towards the infrastructure and construction industry. But you still have lots of tools, the agile tools that you can use. Like, for instance, again, the Kanban, the lean principles. Now it's trendy. It has become trendy. The lean construction. Google it. There are lots of literature out there and books explaining the lean construction. So the lean is there. You can use the lean concepts of minimizing waste. But again, what we want, or what we're discussing here, is the organization itself, how to increase the agility of the organization itself, how to make it able to cope with 2021, because we don't know what's coming in 2021. Now we have the pandemic and we don't know. So you need to be able to cope with whatever changes are coming down the road, okay? Like Dr. Omar, in some situations, it's seen that some organizations require agile mindset necessary to improve. However, the actors, employees and stakeholders are resistant to the agile manifesto and don't adapt easily. What do you advise to overcome such resistance? Yeah, I think that I emphasized on that point, Dr. Omar. I said, you need to start by creating a culture for change. If you don't create the proper stage, the right buy-in, if you don't communicate extensively the benefits of being agile, of harnessing, you know, the agile principles and the agile mindset, you're not gonna go anywhere. You will be faced with that fierce change resistance. So communication is a key, extensive communication on the benefits, creating buy-in. That would be my primary advice to you. Nasser, what are the major application of agile methods? I'm not sure that I got your question right, Nasser, but agile methods or approaches can be used actually anywhere. Theoretically, you can use them anywhere. You can apply them anywhere in any industry. It shouldn't be necessarily a complete approach, a complete methodology. You can again start by using tools, agile tools like the Kanban board or the lean principles, and you can empower them. One of the things that agile, by the way, encourages is creating your own agile approach. You don't have to follow the Scrum exactly. You don't have to follow the XP exactly or the FDD exactly or no. Create the approach that suits you. This is agile. You need also to be agile. So I might find like I have nice things in the Scrum that I can use, and I have nice things in the FDD that I can use, and I have nice things in the Crystal approach that I can use. Okay, use all of them. Create your own mix, your own combination. Okay, it's agile. Mr. Nazih Hosseini, for well-established organization, how to take advantage of the agility where project management is an important department with other departments in the current economic conditions without affecting the company policy, which might create complexity down the road. Again, it needs careful planning. You need to plan carefully for your transformation. You might want to start with a pilot, you know, just create agility in one department, okay? And listen, it's very important to listen to, again, to the continuous feedback loops, okay? And adapt, and again, try to adapt and try to replan accordingly, try to look for the value, where the value should be, and maximize the value. You need, again, to manage the transformation program in a very agile way in order to reap the benefits and to avoid the complexity. Okay, Mr. Galaxy S10 Plus asks, we do have procedures for agile projects. Again, you might have, I don't say that you cannot have, but what you should be sure of is that the more procedures that you have, the less agility that you have. Especially, again, the rigid procedures. You cannot do that thing without following that procedure, okay? The more that kind of procedure that you have, the less agile you will be. You might, for certain things, for certain tasks, you might want to follow a SOP because it's important for safety, or okay, that's all right. We're fine with that, okay? But try again to minimize, try to allow, to give room for improvement. to give room to explore new things, to explore new procedures, to explore new tools, new processes. Okay, Mr. Nasser again, or no, Afwan, sorry. Nasser, I'm reading your time every time. Okay, Muhammad Shalam. How to contract for an agile project while the final product is not defined well, and how to manage iterations in the original contract. That's a long story actually, but what we do actually in agile projects is, instead of, in the traditional projects, we fix the scope, because the scope is clearly and well defined. So we start with a fixed scope and we give an estimate for time and cost. In agile projects, we do the other way around actually. The scope is not fixed. We know that the scope is going to change a lot down the road. So what we fix basically is the cost and time. So we agree with the customer on their budget and their time. Okay, so for instance, the customer has budgeted, I don't know, $100,000 for his project and 6 months. Okay, so this is what we agree on. And throughout the 6 months, we will follow the customer requirements and we will go by their value, definition of value, and we will do the work until we finish the fixed cost and time. It's called the inverted triangle, because the traditional, the traditional triangle, the scope, cost, time, we invert it to make the cost and time fixed and the scope is changing. Okay. Another question. We have created procedures to overcome any barrier project to adapt the market requirements as an agile project. I'm not sure of what you're referring to, but again, you cannot proceduralize agility. Whenever you have fixed procedures, you're not agile there. Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Do you have any other questions? Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Bayaz, for the informative presentation. This presentation defined the principle of agility and how to assess organizational agility. I think we have one last question since we have time. The question is from Muhammad Al-Isa. He's asking if the agility method applicable in the rigid environment. Based on my limited knowledge, agility way is very successful in IT projects. But how can we implement this? How can we implement agility in oil and gas, which we have a defined scope already at the early stage of the project?
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, first of all, again, we're talking here about agile project management, not about organizational agility. Those are different things. Okay, you are, for instance, you're Aramco. Okay, you need to be agile as an organization. Aramco should be agile. They should take their decisions very quickly and effectively. They should have the agile leadership and the agile structure and so on. Okay, that will allow for, again, for maximum ability to respond to changes in the markets, changes in the products, changes in the operation and so on. Okay, so this is one thing. About how the agile approaches in project management in oil and gas, then I might probably say or tell you that you don't need to, because you mentioned, Faisal, the scope is very clear in agile, in oil and gas projects. You have a very clear agile and you have very clear specifications and requirements, so you just go a waterfall. Agile project management is designed for projects where we anticipate a lot of changes down the road, where we anticipate the customers to change their requirements and expectations down the road. So if you have such kind of projects, then it's better to follow the traditional waterfall approach. But if you have a project that has lots of changes down the road, then you should follow agile approaches. But again, this is something different from being agile as an organization. Okay, Aramco might I don't know, might want to invest in a new product. If the organization is not agile, this decision might take a lot of time and a lot of conditions might have changed down the road, and that makes the decision itself irrelevant after a while, if you cannot take that decision very effectively and very efficiently, right? So those are two separate things. I hope that the idea has been clarified.
But yes, thank you very much for the informative presentation, and also I would like to thank all participants for attending this session, and I hope they benefit from it. Finally, all participants will receive one BDU through their email that they used in the registration. Thank you all, and have a nice.
Thank you everyone, and have a nice weekend.
Same to you. Thank you. Bye.
See you soon.